I had an HPLC machine which had demons because it used to decide when to work. Sometimes you come to work at 8 in the morning, work until 5, it's refused. Then suddenly at 7 or 8, it starts working. And if it starts working, you better run all of your samples. You can't say, oh great, it's working, let me come tomorrow. So sometimes you'll be in the lab until 3 a.m. So Ben is asking, surely, aren't you going to acknowledge me?
I don't just
come up with the idea. Yes. I didn't come up with the idea. I didn't write the paper. I worked my HPLC machine till 3 a.m. in the morning, and I brought you really great data. We do have somebody, a good friend of mine, she's so good at pipetting. She's so accurate, she's like a machine. So many people want to use her for pipetting.
Yeah.
She stopped pipetting for people and wrote her own papers. She was being used. What do you say, Prof?
I think I said something about that because I'm doing that in Ampad. We have people we get on board for specific projects on a very specific TOR. You come maybe for that project, we need a lab technologist, maybe we need a research assistant to do interviews with the caregivers out there, and maybe to interview the healthcare providers. You are all part of a team, but some of you are employees to the project, and some of you are investigators or part of the research team. That's a big difference. I think I talked about that. I have ended up having some of my research assistants who are employees become co-authors. Why? They make the criteria later. But when you first come, the TOR is clear, but you need to pay 60,000 at the end of the month, whatever. We finish and you go and you say, you finish, I paid you. I will acknowledge you. But some of them are young and vibrant, they've enrolled somewhere for a diploma or a master. Some of them have allowed them to use the data from the project and run with it in a certain way and use it for their projects. They become co-authors. I don't know like that. So don't expect, if I employed you to do the pipetting and that's all I employed you to do and then we have code, I expect you to do a good job anyway. From the word go, isn't it? Yeah? We will train you as a gentleman who said he doesn't let research assistants do things for him. I wish she was here.
Yes.
You need to train, it was Eldon. You need to train your research team to be world class. You want good data, but I don't have to make you a co-author because you're doing your job right. That's your TOR. That's your TOR.
There you go.
But my question is, Dr. Prof. So I think for what I'm calling reports, it's easy. You can give them like a contract, you honor the contract.
Yes.
But think about, let's say you're doing a study in cancer patient, HIV patient, and there's that there's that physician who is actually following up this patient, and you're really interested to study this group of patients. Would they really want to be part of that study?
What's the role of the physician in the study?
I mean, you're studying his or her patients. So
yes. So are they part of my research team? Because in most of my work, that type of physician is a stakeholder in my project. I will probably have recruited them, invited them when we're designing the project. But there will be John who wants to be part of the project. There will be Mary who says, I don't have time for research, I have too many patients and I have other things I'm doing. There's a difference there.
But from your experience, have you gotten certain heads of departments who want to be involved by merely just being the section head and this regulations, so to speak, who want to be involved by just being in that department?
What has happened is that a lot of those very busy and senior administrators, they still give their ideas. That's why I'm saying I still give them the option of being part of the team or being part of the site where we are collecting data. Does that make sense? So we will acknowledge the site, that it was, a site where we were well received. And if you see most of my papers, if you go to the acknowledgement, we will even acknowledge county officials, you name it, people who facilitate this, but they're not co-authors. But you might find a head of department when you're even thinking about remember we talked about when you write a research protocol, and I'll talk about one shortly. You have to think about how does it look like on a day of implementation when you show up at the facility. When I show up at that ANC clinic and I want to recruit pregnant mothers, what does it look like? So there may be that senior ANC nurse that we came to earlier when we were designing and said we will be doing X, and they say, I'm interested in being part, always have that option to ask them to be part of the project. It's what we're calling, and I'll be talking about community engaged research. It's really, really important to map who the key stakeholders are and where you can at least make sure there's a representative from some of these key points and make them part of the process. So they may not be the ones doing the lit review when later on downstream we'll be writing manuscripts. But when we are designing, planning the implementation, and even doing remember the validation meetings on the data that we will already have, they will be there, and some of their insights when they start interpreting the data is out of this world. All right, and then when you write the paper, they are reviewing. All co-authors must review the final versions that are going to and own it. In fact, most journals now ask all co-authors to sign that they approve of that article. So here I am, the last one. Even that person needs to read it and say, I consent. And sometimes they see something everybody else missed because of their position. There is a way their touch looks onto the issue a little bit differently. Yeah. So partly the fault is the PIs, we don't engage them from that. We just think, I just need nani and nani, and you keep going. Yeah.
Yes, this question also arose at Aga Khan University. The doctors were feeling used and misused. Yeah, so maybe that's the message. Take home that if you are going to use somebody, then please start engaging them from the start. Yeah, before the ugali is cooked, please. Yeah, once the ugali is cooked, you have problems. But before it's cooked, in fact, people will tell you, I don't want. But once they see it, they are going to want it. Yeah. So there's a guy called Mr. Etal who analyzed 630 manuscripts published in 2011, and this was in the US, and he found 7.9% were ghost authorships, honorary authorship 17%, and about a third of the proposals were either ghost or honorary. And then in the second slide, bottom here, you can see the original, the prevalence of honorary and ghost authorships are in original research reports, that amount, reviews, and editorials. So for original research reports, it was quite high, the percentage of honorary. So it's something which, again, you may want to look at for yourselves. I only have 2 more slides, then you can have to. Gift authorship is almost like honorary, but one is listed as an author but did not contribute. So you add a colleague on the understanding that they will do the same for you. Okay? They will do the same for you. So this time, I made you part of my paper, and they do that. All that is done amount, so that, because the Council of University Education wants you to have X number of papers before you can get assistant professorship, before you can become professor, that kind of thing. So now it's not anything about helping science move forward or medicine practice move forward. It's all about publishing or not publishing. And then finally, there is the coercion author. When the author is by intimidation. So I told you when the director came and one of them wanted to be on all papers, that was intimidating. I mean, it had a role in remaining in Cambridge, so many of them would do because of that. So I'm not interested in what the paper is about, Dr. Jones. I just want you to put me on the author list. And he is called Professor J.D. Schnaut. Yeah, so this is a cartoon. So there are lots of innuendos in it. Or, yeah. Then there's a guest author. Which one did you say you didn't know? This one. Is this the one you said what's a guest author? So inclusion of an author with no contribution to the study, expecting it to improve the chances of the study being published. Okay? So, yes, so if you clearly put Prof. Nanyu on your paper and in your qualitative researches that you are saying are not getting published, you might wake up in the morning and you can say you have 30 papers. Yeah, because now people know Prof. Nanyu, they know the kind of work that she does, and this must be good. If this is Prof. Nanyu, if she's on this paper, this must be a good paper. So that is the guest authorship. And I'm going to stop here because the discussion has been very rich, and we are not trying to make you experts in what we are teaching. We want you to start thinking about these things. So you can see now how, I think the take-home message here, I have so many slides, I'll give them to you so they can look at them. The take-home message here is that if you're going to write a paper, you come up with a eureka moment, you're thinking about it, you talk to a few people, You sit, you conceptualize the idea together, and at that point, as you said, you decide what kind of papers can come out of it, and who's going to be the first offer, tentatively. If you have a doctor who's going to be part of the clinic, ask them if they want to be part of the paper. Some will actually, as Professor Nami says, will tell you, no, I don't have the time. Honestly, I just can't do this, even if I wanted to, but I'll be happy for you to come and look at my patients. Some of them who are young and ambitious will tell you, hey, for sure I want to be part of it, tell me what I need to do. I think if you start like that, you will not struggle so much. So we've only looked at authorship in this research integrity because as reviewers and as you, at the end of the day, you'll also be researchers. You'll be reviewers of ethics committees, but you'll also be researchers. And if you know what it means to be a person, to have research integrity, you will start commenting upon it in your reviews, and people will start changing. People start saying, oh, okay, so this is a thing, so this is a thing, so this is a thing. Okay. So let me stop there so that we can have a cup of tea. I think it's 10:30. Yes, and go ahead.
I have a question. Goes back to the conversation yesterday on the orphanage. I noticed that some of the papers that they published, they included the father. The father of
Agostino.
Yeah. So would that be part of this authorship concerns?
Yeah.
And if you come across a paper wherever you have an authorship concern like that, far beyond the story behind it, would that paper be retracted? Be retracted? If, for example, the papers were published and they had an issue with the orphanage, but maybe there was no issue, but then in the authorship, there's this, maybe like a guest author? Honorary author. Would that would be retracted on that basis?
I don't think so.
I think the question is, how do you know he was not a co-author? How do you know he did not meet the 4 criteria? Maybe you remember what I've just described. The head of department can be part of the team the first time even those years are being. So they were part of the design. You see what I mean? And he reviewed the last version, maybe before it was published. He's already met 2 criteria. And maybe during implementation, because he's the one living in the children's home, he may have been involved in facilitating this and that. He's already met 3 criteria. So you need to be sure that that head of department, that head of the orphanage, that head of ANC was actually did not meet the criteria.